Kaye Spivey. I didn't really know what to do for a video today because it turns out planning a wedding and working take up a lot of time. So I didn't have anything really planned. So for today's video, I'm gonna do some kind of rapid fire 20 favorites questions. Favorite book? Wuthering Heights by Emily Bronte. Favorite movie? Now thinking about this, I thought about what did I watch the most obsessively, especially as a teenager, and the answer was Moonchild, which I think I pretty much watched about every day in high school. Favorite band? Larkin Shell, because obviously that's why Moonchild was my favorite movie. I was obsessed with Hyde. My favorite Ghibli movie, on the other hand, is Whisper of the Heart. Moving on to Disney, my favorite 2D Disney movies would be probably either Mulan or Princess and the Frog, and my favorite 3D animated Disney films would be Brave and Moana. Favorite book series? The Infernal Devices series by Cassandra Clare would probably be the top of my list right now. Favorite poem? I just keep coming back to Slow Dance by Matthew Dickman, which I will link in the description below so you can hear him read it. Speaking of poems, I'm sure some of you have had to memorize poetry for various classes, and I memorized quite a few poems when I was younger, but ones I still remember are two by Edgar Allan Poe. One, probably no one else knows, El Dorado. Gaily bedight, a gallant knight, in sunshine and in shadow, had journeyed long, singing a song, in search of El Dorado. But he grew old, this knight so bold, and o'er his heart asunder fell as he found no spot on the ground that looked like El Dorado. And as his strength failed him at length, he met a pilgrim's shadow. Shadow, he said, where can it be, this land of El Dorado? O'er the mountains of the moon, past the valley of shadow. Ride boldly, ride, the shadow replied, if you seek for El Dorado. Those probably aren't the right words, but I memorized it when I was really young, and that's how I remember it. I know the Jabberwocky. My entire family memorized the Jabberwocky, and we can just bust it out at any time. I know Dream Within a Dream by Edgar Allan Poe, and then I also memorized Do Not Go Gentle Into That Good Night, and I'm not going to recite them here, but if you want to see me recite them, I could do that. Favorite poet? Rita Dove would be the most striking poet to me. However, I really love Matthew Dickman, and as I sat and thought about it, Adrienne Rich also stood out as a favorite poet. Favorite author? Obviously Emily Bronte, since she wrote Wuthering Heights. I also really love Diana Wynne Jones, who wrote Howl's Moving Castle, and I really love Amy Tan, who wrote The Joy Luck Club. I've read several of her books, including her sort of autobiography, and I absolutely love her writing. Favorite tea? I like green teas. I like my tea to be very plain. Sometimes if I'm drinking like just lemon and hot water, then I like honey in it. There are a few teas I like honey in, but most of them I like plain. I did study abroad in England for a while, and so I do like English tea with some milk in it. Coffee. I drink my coffee with sugar and cream. I prefer cats over dogs, but I pretty much like most animals. I prefer chocolate as my favorite sweet, but I'm not going to turn down any sweets, so. My favorite video game series, after Pokemon, because let's be honest, everyone likes Pokemon best, is Fire Emblem. My favorite doctor from Doctor Who is the 10th Doctor. David Tennant was my doctor. My favorite flowers are tulips and hydrangeas. My favorite genre of book is probably somewhere in the magical realism area. I really like books with kind of an air of mystery, although I don't necessarily read a lot of mystery novels, and I like true crime, but I don't read a lot of them, but books that kind of have that element as well as a little bit of fantasy realism going on, kind of like The Night Circus by Erin Morgenstern. That tends to be the type of book that really gets me excited. My favorite Sailor Scout is, of course, Sailor Venus. You notice I added some more characters to my shelf. I already had Deadpool, but I got Ray for my birthday this year, and my fiance painted this little guy to look like Sailor Venus, and so I've added a few more characters. I prefer DC over Marvel. I just kind of always have. I've always been into Batman. I grew up on the 90s Batman cartoon that was so good. I really like the X-Men, but I didn't know a lot of other Marvel characters up until the big Marvel boom. But I've always loved Batman, and Wonder Woman is my absolute favorite. Favorite musical? Probably Phantom of the Opera. Favorite song is definitely Music of the Night. Original version, not the version that they used in the movie, where they changed the lyrics slightly and made it less about the writing, which is what I loved about it. The version I heard of it was just a tape version, a little cassette tape, the Sarah Brightman and Michael Crawford version, and that version of Music of the Night was my absolute favorite song, and possibly why I wanted to be a writer, because he talks about writing the music and that only he can create vision for her to sing, and I was really drawn to that. That's probably over 20 questions, so I'm gonna go ahead and wrap this up now. Go ahead and ask me any other questions you wanted to know my favorites of. Starting this next week, I have a plan for a project that's going to involve just straight reading poems from my new book, Fragments. Please get yourself a copy of Fragments, a new poetry book, available now. There will be links down in the description below for where you can find it, and over the course of the next week I'm going to try and do a series where I read just standalone poems and make a playlist of poems from the book. If you have read Fragments, or if you've read some of my other poetry and there are poems that you want to hear read aloud for this series, please leave a comment below and let me know which ones those are, so I'll be sure to include them. And that's gonna be it for this week. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you back here again next Saturday. Bye!